Everyone becomes homeless for a different reason. There isn't one path that leads you to the life on the street. I think people don't realize that. But this is my story. This is where I came from and where I'm going. I grew up in Detroit and from a very early age faced a lot of challenges. My family wasn't close, I was disconnected from my parents, and that left a void. I had an emptiness in my heart that I was trying to fill. One of the biggest challenges that I had was not fitting in, not feeling like I fit in, the abandonment issue, and feeling like there was something missing. Scared mom wasn't going to come pick me up, and so I used other things to make, outside of myself to make me happy by the age of 7 or 8. And I remember having that first taste of wine and said, this is the way I want to feel for the rest of my life. I never imagined that it would take me as far as it did. By the time I was 15, I had moved out into my own apartment, and I get to do things that I normally wouldn't do. Popping pills, I'm drinking more, and it's like one big party. As time progressed, I graduated with honors, and it was like after graduation, I could get the jobs, could always get a job, but I couldn't keep them because of the drinking. And as a result, really messed my life up. It was like this circle that I went in, and I couldn't figure out how did I get back to the same point in the same circle, at another shelter, at somebody else's house, at another shelter, and it just went on and on and on. I thought I was a failure, that I wasn't a good parent, that I had done a very big injustice to my children. Being homeless it's draining. It's an emotional, I would say an emotional scar, because as a mother, we always want to provide for our children. But being homeless, it's like you don't know where you're going, where you'll end up. We were staying in this house, and it didn't have heat. We would gather firewood for the fireplace, and it was like day after day going to look for firewood, and it's cold. And somebody had filled the 2-liter pop bottle up with gasoline instead of kerosene, because we would stack the logs and soak them in kerosene. And he lit that match, and everywhere that gasoline dropped, the fire started spreading. I can hear, I'm telling them, screaming at the kids, come on, get out, we gotta get out. And I'm hearing this voice, and it was like, if you don't get out, this is what's gonna happen. And I know it wasn't nobody but God. And looking back now, it was like God had already made preparations for me. And I needed that little push to do something better. And I knew that if I didn't do something better with my life, I was scared about what was going to happen to my kids. At first it was for my kids, because, and looking at my child's face outside of that house when it caught on fire, it was like he had that look of desperation. And at that point I knew I had to get me some help. I didn't know how I was going to get help. I didn't know where I was going to get the help from. All I knew was that I had to get some help. They had a space for me, and I could bring my kids. That was one of my biggest panic attacks, was if Protective Service was going to take my children, because that's all I had left. It's like, this is it. This is where your help is going to begin. I spent a year in treatment, and I spent a year in transitional housing, which was a blessing, because after treatment it was like, what am I going to do now? Where am I going? they give you some life skills. They give you some coping skills. They teach you how to do other things. And they teach you how to adapt and deal with your children also. So the Salvation Army has really helped me turn my life around. So now I work as a monitor, and I get to see the families that were just like me. And just when I want to complain sometimes, it shows me, you know, you are blessed to have the Salvation Army. And I tell them, don't cry, because it's going to be all right. This is where you're going to get you some help. This place, and I share some of my experiences. This is where I got my help. Now that I'm thinking a lot clearer, I have 8 years clean as a result of Salvation Army and the Evangeline program. Getting ready to go back to school. I have a bet with my oldest son. He goes to Rock Valley, and I have a bet that I'll be in school before the winter semester starts. The Bed and Bread Club is not just about giving some food or giving them a place to stay. It's about rebuilding lives, giving back some structure, giving some hope to families, giving back. I know, because I've been there myself, and that's what Salvation Army did to me. It gave me a second chance at life. Looking back, it's like God put people in your life. Oh, I'm sorry. God put people in your life, and He already had it worked out. And Salvation Army was one of them. When it works right, you find much more than the basics. You rediscover purpose and meaning, and you learn to dream again. That life can be different, and for that I'm grateful to the Salvation Army.